Good morning and good day. I hope everyone is having an amazing day or amazing morning. Today we're going to talk about medicine safety. It is week 6. My name is Colin Parks and I work at Serenity House. So let's jump right into review. What did we discuss last week? I'll give you a few seconds to start those engines, start those brains just a little bit. All right. Now that we've started the engine, we are going to be reviewing friendship qualities. What do you say or do for your friends who are disappointed in themselves when they make a mistake? Before we answer that, in our last lesson we talked about friendships. A good friend is there for you in good times and the bad. A good friend encourages you to try when you are working to reach your goal. So, what do you say or do for your friends who are disappointed in themselves when they make a mistake? Think about that for a couple seconds. You can say things like, don't worry, you'll do better, you'll do better next time, it's okay, everyone makes mistakes. We all make mistakes and have to figure out how to manage them. So managing them and having good friendship qualities and a friend to help make it so much easier. How many of you have made a mistake and then felt disappointed in yourself? It is easy to put yourself down when you make a mistake or if you wish you had done something differently. When that happens, be a good friend to yourself and look for the positive in the situation. You could think of the situation as a learning experience. What happens to your feelings when you think of the situation as a learning experience? Think about that for just a couple seconds. You may feel better. You are ready to try again. You're not too hard on yourself when that happens. So it turns it into something that you can just move on from rather than getting stuck on the idea and how you messed up. A learning experience and seeing it as something that you can do better next time and that you tried your best. It helps you to be able to move on, just like we are now. All right, positive thoughts lead to positive feelings and ultimately positive actions. And so we want to think about that and keep that in mind when we're making decisions, when we were with friends, when we were communicating. So there wasn't much to review about last week. It was a short lesson last week. Let's move on. I want everyone to turn to workbook page 17 to the section titled Managing Mistakes. The arrows at the top of the page shows a sequence of how our thoughts affect our emotions, which affect our actions. In this story, negative thoughts affect a person's emotions, which then can affect their behavior. We will read the story together, and then you will review the list of events beside the story, put them in order as they happen. Awesome. So, managing mistakes. I will read and I will volunteer so no one else has to. Archie was so excited about the camping trip next weekend. He asked his mom to take him to the sporting goods store so he could buy the sleeping bag he'd been saving for. That sounds fun and exciting. Archie's mom waited at the exit while he went to the cashier to pay for the sleeping bag. The cashier had said the price will be $32.76. As Archie counted out his money, he lost count and didn't hand the cashier enough money. Oops. The cashier said, "You have to give me more than that." Archie thought, "I'm so stupid. I don't know how to count." Archie was so embarrassed and frustrated when he noticed a line of people waiting behind him. Archie grabbed his money from the cashier and dashed out of the store, leaving the sleeping bag behind. He didn't even get what he came for. On the drive home in the car, Archie's mom asked him what happened, and Archie yelled, "Leave me alone!" I don't know if that was the best way to handle the situation, and sometimes we make mistakes, and that's what we're looking for, managing the mistakes. So I want everyone to review the list of items and put them in order as they happen by numbering them 1 through 4. I will give everyone a 3-minute timer to complete the activity. So, what happened first? Go ahead and start. I will give everyone 3 minutes. What happened first? Archie made a mistake counting his money. That's right. So what happened next? Have you a couple seconds to figure out number two? Now that we have it, right? Say the answer out loud. Archie used negative self-talk. That was step number two. How did he feel after that? He probably felt embarrassed and frustrated. And then what happened last? Archie lashed out at his mother. Archie's negative thoughts affected how he felt about himself, and his negative emotions affected his actions. Did Archie reach his goal of getting the sleeping bag he had been saving for? No, he did not. He ran out of the store. He gave up, he let his negative thoughts control him, and he made a simple mistake take over. Let's help Archie take a more positive approach to dealing with his counting mistake. Change Archie's negative self-talk statement, "I'm so stupid, I don't know how to count," to a positive self-talk statement. I want you to write your answer on the line provided in your workbook. I want everyone to make sure we are on page 17. Very good. Now that everyone has written down our answer, how did you change Archie's negative self-talk statement to something positive? You could be saying, "I miscounted the money." That can happen to anyone. "I made a mistake, but I can just ask the cashier to tell me how much I miscounted and then the right amount that I owe him or her." How would the positive self-talk statements change the way Archie feels? He would feel more confident, maybe. Happy he didn't even let the mistake stop him from reaching his goal. Encouraged, in other words. Excellent. Now that we've talked a little bit about that, if Archie thought positively about himself in the situation, he might have found a solution to overcome his mistake and overall purchase the sleeping bag. Using positive self-talk can change the way we feel about our mistakes and hopefully not let us get stuck on that mistake. We're going to make the best of it. So, I want everyone to look at the section in your workbook titled "Making the Best of It." Think about a mistake you made recently. I want you to write down what happened and any negative thoughts you had on the lines provided. I will give everyone about 5 minutes to complete the activity, so I want you to change your negative thoughts into something positive. Write down a positive statement you could say to yourself on the lines provided after you have put out your scenario. After you've put out your negative thoughts, I want you to then go ahead and give a positive statement and change that into some positive words. If the teacher in the classroom can give a hand with this activity, it will be super influential for the class. Take time to share your answers. Now that we are done, very good. We all make mistakes. The next time you make a mistake, use positive self talk to help you see the brighter side of the situation. Mistakes happen because we are careless or because we don't stop to think when making a decision. There are some kind of mistakes, however, that we want to avoid altogether because they can be unhealthy and dangerous. What is the first thing you should do if you don't feel well? That's a good question. Take some time to think about that. The first thing you should do is tell an adult that you trust. That person may want you to rest. They may want you to drink plenty of water or even liquid. And eat healthy foods. Those are all super important if you're not feeling yourself. They may give you some over-the-counter medicines to help you feel better or to treat some of your symptoms. What is an over-the-counter medicine? Take some time to think about that. An over-the-counter medicine can be purchased from a pharmacy, a grocery store, or even a convenience store without a doctor's prescription. What are some examples of over-the-counter medicine? I have some examples here if you can't think of any. Tylenol is the first one that I thought of. Aspirin could be another good one, Advil, and even cough syrup. Those are all over-the-counter medicines that you really don't need a prescription for. What do we call medicines that come from a doctor? I think we've already said it. Prescription medicine. Because the doctor must give you permission to have and use the medicine. Prescription and over-the-counter medicines are helpful when used correctly and for the right purpose. Medicines can be harmful if you take the wrong ones or the wrong amount, and this is why we're talking about it. We have to make sure that we know what we are taking and putting in our bodies. So, brings us to some great information. We are going to answer some important questions about household medicines to better prepare us for life. After the first two questions, you will only have to answer by standing for true and sitting for false. So I'll say that one more time. I want you to stand for true and sit for false. I wanted to make it easy on the class since I'm not there in person. So our first two questions, let's get to them. Where can you learn possible side effects of a medication? Here's our answer. Label. You can check the label. Maybe the packaging. Maybe from the doctor, nurse, or pharmacist. And you can call all of them to check. And hopefully your parent or guardian can do that for you. I didn't give much time for answers right there, so I will give a little bit more time on this one. Who should give you your medicine when you are at school? It's a really good question. Take some time to think about that. I'll give you about 10 seconds. Our answer could be school nurse or trusted adult. There's not really many people that can give us medicine when we're at school, so we want to make sure that we are taking medicine from the right people. Bringing us to our activity. I have some true or false questions that I want you to stand for true and stay sitting for false. So that is going to start now. True or false? You should never take someone else's prescription medicine. Is that true or is that false? I want you to stand for true and sit for false. That is true. It is true. You should never take someone else's prescription medicine, even if it's okay by your parents. You should make sure that it is for you. It is prescribed to you. All right. Our next true or false. Is it safe to take twice as much medicine as recommended? Is it safe? I want you to stand for true and sit for false. Give you some time to answer that one. All right, answers are locked in. It is false. It is never safe to take twice as much medicine as recommended. Never. Moving on. Our next true or false. Over-the-counter medications can cause serious health problems if used incorrectly. Is that true or is that false? Or is that statement false? Come on. All right. It is true. Over-the-counter medications can cause serious health problems if used incorrectly. So we want to make sure that we're taking the right amount. And so you need a parent or guardian around to help you with those, or a school nurse or a doctor, so we aren't taking too much. We don't want to hurt ourselves. Good job. True or false? You can stop taking prescription medicine if you feel better. Is that true or is that false? I'll give you about 5 seconds to think about that. All right, now that you have some time, answers are locked in. It is false. This statement is false. You can never stop taking prescription medicine just because you feel better. A good example is antibiotics. If you stop before the end of the prescription, then you may have the illness again, or it may come back. And so you want to make sure that you are taking what is prescribed to you in the right amounts. Our next true or false statement. It is safe to drink liquid medicine straight from the bottle. You don't have to measure it. Is that true or is that false? I'll give you some time to think about that. It is false. You always want to measure out your medicine. You'd never want to guess on how much you're taking. Just like we said before, if you guess on your prescription and how much that you are taking and you stop before, or even you're guessing and you take too much at one time, it may not help you in the overall results that you want to overcome and get better. So you want to make sure that you're measuring out if it is liquid and taking the right amount if it is prescribed. Our last true or false. I know standing may be a lot. You're probably tired, right? True or false. You don't have to read the labels on prescription medicine before using it. Is that true or is that false? I'll give you some time to lock in your answers. All right. Now that all answers are locked in, don't change them. All right. It is false. It is false. You always have to read the labels on prescription medicine before using it. You want to make sure that it is yours for one, and for two, you want to make sure how much you are taking and it is not the wrong one. Maybe you have more prescriptions. Maybe you have multiple. You don't want to take the wrong one at the wrong time of day because that could offset your body. We want to make sure that we are following instructions on the prescription. And like we said earlier, you can read the label to see what you're taking, how are you supposed to take it, and all in between. You did an excellent job answering the true or false questions. Now that you know how to handle prescription and over-the-counter medicine safely, you can help prevent mistakes and keep yourself, your friends, and your family safe. In our next lesson, we will learn peer pressure refusal strategies, which can also help to keep us safe. So keep all of this in mind. I hope you learned something today with our true or false activity and all of that great information in between. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I will see you next week. I'm signing off.